today we are going to be talking about knowing your why. This is going to probably sound either you're familiar with this concept and this idea, or this is going to sound completely foreign to you. So let's just go ahead and jump into the video and talk about it. Okay, hi, my name is Amanda from Learning to Love Well, and this is a channel all about homeschool from a biblical worldview. We talk about the practical, we talk about biblical encouragement, and honestly, we talk about everything that encompasses homeschool. And every once in a while, I talk about what's in my garden because sometimes I film out there, which should be coming soon because the garden is starting to get rolled out to kind of hang out with us out there, and it's going to be nice and springtime and super exciting. So today, we are going to talk about something that is super basic, and it could be a foreign concept. If you're a veteran homeschooler, it probably won't be, but it's still a good thing to do, which is understanding why you're homeschooling in the first place. If you are either new to homeschool, thinking about homeschool, or a veteran homeschooler, there are going to be days where you are extremely frustrated and you're going to want to throw in the towel. Homeschooling your children during all their subjects can be extremely frustrating. There are days you are going to want to quit, close your books, and be like, all right, we're done. We're done. And this is normal. You are not a bad mom. You are not a bad teacher. You are not incapable of homeschooling your children because of this. It just can simply mean that homeschool is very hard. It takes a lot of patience, and it takes a lot of perseverance and some grit, like some stick with itness. And it's because it is not easy. So when you are doing homeschool, one of the things that you should do is know why you are homeschooling. For us, this looks like because we want to train up our children, training instruction of the Lord. I want my children to have a lot of Bible time and a lot of apologetics. They are not going to get that in the public school. They may get it at a Christian school, but they are very, very pricey, and I also don't necessarily know the doctrine of every teacher that they're going to have, which is not a bad thing, but it is something also that the mandate is for parents to bring up their children in the training and instruction of the Lord. Therefore, the buck stops with us, and it is a biblical command for us to actually be training our children. And so if I'm going to hand them off to someone, I need to kind of know that. The reason I say all of that is one of our whys. Another reason is because I get to see my kids grow. My kids are not being just handed off, and my children are with me more times than they're not. So I am getting to see them all the time. I'm getting to see them cook dinner for the first time. I'm getting to see them do projects. I got to watch my kids build bridges. I get to see the excitement on their face when they get to do something fun. I got to fingerprint them the other day in forensic science. That was fun. I'm getting to be a part of my children's lives in a very meaningful way because they are with me more than they are not with me. We have a lot of opportunities to do that. Another thing that I really, really love about homeschool is the fact that we can cater according to our children's interests. So if our children show a proclivity towards being mathematic, we can drive them into harder curriculums. If they show a proclivity towards arts, we can start guiding them through that way. There's so much that you can kind of weave into the curriculum based on your child's wants and needs. Another thing that I love about homeschool is the fact that our children get to progress at their level, not at a school level. That doesn't mean that we let our children fall behind, but what it does mean is if they need extra time, I'm not rushed to get them ahead if they're not getting a concept. We get them whatever supplies they need to get the concept. We're prayerful about it. We ask the Lord for help, and we keep pushing on. This is something that is very rare in the public schools unless you have like an IEP plan or something like that. And they're not getting the stigma of, hey, I need a little extra time on A, B, C, and D. Another thing is they get the chance to try out things before they get to college. We have this thing in here in America where kids will go off to college thinking they like something, have had very little exposure to it, and then they change majors multiple times. Instead of doing that, in homeschool, we get to start sampling the things that they're interested in, or maybe they start liking, and then we can kind of find curriculum to see if that is actually something indeed that they would be interested in studying, which is a huge, 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 huge advantage. Just with those little whys, those are big enough reasons on hard days for us to want to keep going. I feel like this is where the Lord has me, and this is what he wants me to be doing. So obviously that is the biggest why. So when you figure out the things that make your why, it gives you that fuel and that push during days that you honestly need to persevere. It can be very, very, very discouraging when you've had a hard month, or if something has happened and your world's turned upside down, for you to keep wanting to push through. But if you have a strong enough why, if you and your husband sit down and you have a strong enough reason why you want to continue homeschooling, you will be surprised how much it pushes you towards continue. If you are just feeling burnt out, look at your calendar, see what breaks you have coming up, see if you can schedule time to do something maybe a little bit different. I'm not saying don't push through hard times, but what I am saying is sometimes you do need to give a little grace to yourself and to your children. We are on spring break and it has been a breath of fresh air. We are so grateful that we get the week off to get everything done, get the garden planted, get some deep cleaning done, get some meal prep done. All of those things that maybe don't sound super exciting, but are super helpful when we are in homeschool. So with that being said, if you are just feeling burnt out, a break might be warranted. It's also wise to look back why you started in the first place. If you know why you are doing this, I think a lot of times we make decisions and we don't really think the pros and cons list. But if you have the opportunity to think through the pros and cons list, even on your spring break coming up, if you haven't taken one, or if you are just now, like new to homeschool or thinking about homeschooling, writing a list of those things, and even writing part of the list of, hey, this is the sacrifice we're going to have to make for these reasons, can be very helpful, because it helps your mind process like, hey, I am not going to have my days. I can't do maybe gym class during the week. Maybe I am going to have to give that up so that I can stay at home and homeschool. But the trade-off is, I get to be with my kids. Having those things written down and identified beforehand can really help you process why you're doing what you're doing and what sacrifices you'll even have to make in order to accomplish those goals. I know it's not a super, it's not as fun as some of the other reader videos and stuff when we're talking about books and stuff, but it is a very important conversation, because like I said, it is very easy to get excited when the curriculum opens and you get to look through all of it. Those are the exciting moments, even watching your kids do projects. But when you are doing that same math problem for the third or fourth, fifth time, or when you've just had a hard week and maybe something happened, or maybe there was just a family thing going on, or you've had health issues or something, knowing why you are doing something can help push through those really, really hard times. And so I encourage you, if you have not done this yet, write a list of the reason why you are homeschooling. And even on that same piece of paper, maybe flip it over and go ahead and list the sacrifices that you're going to have to give up and the positives that can come out of it, almost like a pros and cons list. And then store that piece of paper away. It's okay to admit that in order to homeschool, you have to give up something. In fact, it's kind of a good thing that you know that up front. Even the Bible talks about us needing to know that we're counting the cost before we follow Christ. There are things that you're going to have to give up in order to follow Christ. The good news is that God makes it completely worth it. But even with any choices that we make, there's always a pro, there's always a con, there's always reasons why you're going to want to do something, you're going to see positives come out of it, and you're also going to see negative consequences, things that you had to put down in order to do it. So with that being said, I encourage you, if you're on spring break with me, maybe take out a piece of paper if you haven't done this, write down your why, write down the positives, and then write down anything that you would have to sacrifice or that you are sacrificing, and look at that and prayerfully consider okay, is there a way that we don't have to sacrifice this? Is there a way that this outweighs the negative consequence? And just being so aware so that unmet expectations aren't weighing on the stress of homeschool, or that there's no inner conflict between even you and your spouse about homeschool itself. So having those foundations really laid beforehand, or even in the middle of homeschool, can really help you get your focus on what you guys are planning on doing and why it's important. So with that being said, I'm signing off, and I encourage you to do this if you have not done it this week. All right, well, God bless and have a great night.